Hey guys, once again, it's time for my Halloween movie, Spooktakular. As tradition goes, I always pick a movie that I kind of skipped over in my youth, because I always thought they're kind of beneath me. So in my old age, in my wisdom, I've decided to go back and revisit some of these movies and try to give them a second chance to see that if they were actually worth the props that they were given at that time. So in the past few years, it was actually easy to begin this kind of exercise because it was easy to pick the movies. The first movie I remember doing was Child's Play, and it was fun. It was colorful and evil, and I liked it. But it had its very 80s moments, very cheesy moments. And I watched Hellblazer one year, and I enjoyed the ideas that it was trying to go for, but you could tell that it had a very small budget. And but I enjoyed it for what it was. This year around, I've decided to stay home. And I found myself in a possession of a DVD Blu-ray player. So I thought I brought it to a challenge to find myself two older movies that I was at least interested in, or if I had passed up because of my movie snobbery. This year around, I landed on two movies. The first movie was really odd. The reason I chose it was because I found it on HBO Max. And I'm like, oh, I'll use that as my movie review. And then I decided to watch it on DVD. I could still watch it streaming, or I could watch it on the DVD version of Cujo. I am watching Cujo tonight. I don't know. It's a Stephen King movie, and I never watched it. But it came out, and like, I'll put it, in an editor's note, but like in the 80s sometime, and I never got to see it, so I'm watching that tonight. And here's another movie that I'm kind of interested in. This is the reason I want to do the drive-in, the double feature kind of thing, because it could blow up completely in my face. Now, I found this. I've always been interested in watching a movie called The Stuff. The Stuff is a low-budget 80s movie that was in the theme of all these low-budget 80s movies back then, which were like practical effects, cheap practical effects, and low-paid actors, and it was a really good genre to start off as a director or a writer. It was a good genre to start off as a young filmmaker. The Stuff is one of these movies that kind of slipped through the cracks, where it was made. Not a lot of people know about it. I barely know about it. I only heard about it on the fringe. The Stuff is something that, like, a substance that is found that is highly addictive, that is coming out of the ground and has some kind of devious plot behind it, right? That's all I know about it. And I also know I have a big recollection that it has a stop motion animation in it, even in its cheapest form. I'm a sucker for that stuff. So if it does have that in there, I'm sold. And so the second movie, as I'm trying to refer to, is The Stuff. And again, I'll put an editor's note, and its credits the date of its release and stuff like that. Those are the two movies that I'm going to go ahead and watch. And I finally got my green screen set up, so maybe this is going to be permanent. In just a few seconds, guys, I'm going to be right back to let you know. We're going to start with Cujo. So, in just a few seconds, guys, I'm going to let you know what I think about Cujo. All right, see you in just a few seconds. Bye. Guys, let's just go over the plot real quick. Basically, in my mind, this movie's kind of divided into half. The first half of the movie, they're introducing our characters. We have the son, we have the husband and the mother, and we also have some, like, a mechanic that we meet, because we're having car problems, and that's going to come on. We're going to involve ourselves later on in the story with that. But like I said, the first half of this movie is basically setting up that Dad and Mom are having a really hard time with their marriage. Honestly, that plot thread really didn't go anywhere for me. So the other half of this story, again, we all know that the name Cujo, if you haven't lived under a rock for the last, 40 years of your life, you know that the name Cujo is synonymous with rabid dog, ferocious dog. So we all know that this movie is about that, right? And Stephen King is famous for the one scene drama. So like he's done that a couple of times. What was that tale where the woman was handcuffed to the bed and her husband dies of a heart attack? Gosh, I'll have to put that into an editor's note. But he's had done this a few times. In this movie, you can tell that this movie wanted to be that, because the latter half of this movie was spent in the car where the woman was trying to protect her son. I'm getting ahead of myself. She takes the family car, the car that they share together, the one that doesn't work all that well. We all know that car. We all have had that car once in our lifetimes. She takes it kind of to the outskirts of the city, to a mechanic. She takes the car in and then finds the dog, obviously. And they're trapped in this car for the majority of the second half of this film. Here's the thing about this movie that I wish would have happened. I found the drama in the car a lot more interesting, although I don't think they handled it well in this movie. I would have found it a lot more interesting, and they should have focused on the drama with the dog, the mom and his son, and developed that relationship, because they really didn't spend that much time inside the car. They had a lot of shots outside the car. They showed a lot of shots of the dog pacing around the car. We had a couple people tried to come onto the property and get killed by the dog. We spent a lot of time outside, what was happening outside. And then we saw a lot of it inside, but we didn't have any dialogue between her and her son. We didn't have any inner dialogue that we could hear, maybe her mumbling or something like that. That would have been a lot more interesting than what we got. We got just kind of like a sequence of events, and we really didn't get to find out who these characters really were. These characters are just kind of, they did try, but they were kind of two-dimensional, and I had a hard time getting into them. And therefore, when they were supposed to be feeling the drama of the plot of them, the menace of the dog, I really didn't feel it. I didn't feel it at all. I found this movie kind of boring. I am kind of interested to read the book now, because I have a sneaky suspicion. Again, I've read these type of stories from Stephen King. I have a very sneaky suspicion that we get those moments that I was talking about. We get those moments in the book. So okay, I'm just gonna move on. Rate this movie. I didn't look it up. Alexa, what did Cujo get on Rotten Tomatoes?
According to the review aggregation website Rotten Tomatoes, Cujo is artless film with moments of high dog gore and one crazy Dee Wallace performance, and it has a 59% approval rating based on 44 reviews, with the site's consensus stating,
I kind of agree with that. So we're going to understand. They said a 59%. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I would actually say about 60%. 65. I was about to say 65. So let's just be honest about it and say 65%. I was going to give it 65%. We did try to give us the story, but I would really like to kind of dug in and found out what was really happening with the characters and get to know these characters. This is what we really didn't. So I'm going to go on and move on. This was a movie that attempted to be super serious. Unfortunately, we're moving on to something that seems to... I snuck a few glimpses at the trailer, and it seems super campy. It seems like this is a movie that was made for the goofs and laughs. So let's just see how this goes. I am very interested to see what how this plays out. In just a few seconds, guys, I will be back to let you know what I think about the stuff. All right, see you later. Bye. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of tired, so I gotta get this done really quick. Here's what the stuff is about. The opening scene, you get to meet these two guys. They're miners, and they're drilling to the center of the earth. Although I had to read on the wiki on that, this movie wasn't well written. I'll get to that. So the most I understood was reading about it before and after the movie. The movie itself was kind of messy and kind of hard to understand. But what I understood, what I pieced together was that they're drilling to the center of the earth, and this substance starts boiling up from the center of the earth. And the first thought that this guy had was to actually sample and to eat it. So he eats this thing and finds that he likes it, and because it has addictive properties to it. And they find out about this later. They start marketing it and mass market it, right? So everybody's eating this stuff. Now it has like this like really kind of evil, devious property to it. Like it turns these people into slaves, and these slaves start distributing this stuff. It's kind of like a Body Snatchers meets the Blob, because the stuff itself is kind of like an intelligent like ooze, right? And but here's the problem with this movie is that the ooze itself, the stuff, it seems to change its role whenever it needs to. And what I mean by that is, in the beginning of it, you get to see the stuff, and he's like poking at it, and it's kind of gurgling and like acting like it's not the most normal stuff in the world, but he's still able to eat it. It doesn't do anything to him. Where other times the stuff actually actively moves and actually attacks our protagonist, and it doesn't make any rhyme or reason why it switches that kind of role. I didn't understand that, but here's the thing. You don't need to understand it. I think they went into this movie thinking to themselves, they wrote a kind of a basic story, like a skeleton of a story, and then after that they thought to themselves, what is the best shot that we can get out of this sequence? And whether it actually made sense in the plot or not, they still went ahead with the shot. Now, here's the thing. It was a very low-budget movie. It was a low-budget movie. You can tell by the writing and the directing. But it had some people that I actually did recognize in this movie. The thing that I really liked about it was it was very ambitious. And like I said, the shots that we were talking about, the shots that that looked cool. Yes, you could tell that it was made on the cheap, but I really liked them. I thought they were fun. They were fun to watch. They were really kind of fun to watch. Yeah, I'm watching it, I'm like, that's kind of looking cheap, but I see where they're going with it, and I liked it. Now, this movie was full of plot holes completely, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I still saw them. They were blaring. I just thought it was funny that so the kid, in the beginning, there's this kid, and early on in the movie, like he harbours this hate for this stuff, and so he goes to the supermarket, and the story's like probably about hundreds of dollars worth of product. And then, like, the next scene, he's just, like, at home chilling, you know, like, they're like, oh, I can't believe you did that. You're like, it was just so silly that, like, it didn't make sense, right? And it was like that all the way throughout the movie. There was, like, one part where, like, the professional saboteur, just shows up in the nick of time and just like opens the door when his family is chasing after him, and like he's like flings up in the door. He's like, "Hop in, kid." And this kid has never met this guy. He's like, "Sure, guy, I trust you over this family that's chasing me." That didn't make sense. And then he like hops on this private plane and like flies to this like different state with this guy that he doesn't even know. Yeah, I was like, this movie was full of those moments, but I still loved the fact that it felt honest, and it felt like they had a vision and they really tried their hardest to bring it to that screen. And I enjoyed the enthusiasm I felt through that screen. That's what I enjoy about this movie. I think this is, there's a lot of movies out there that like a lot of people call guilty pleasures, and I have a few of them. I think honestly I'm gonna have to call this one of my new guilty pleasures. I love this movie. It had a lot of people I recognize in it, like maybe B-list celebrities, like over here. This guy, I recognize him from Law and Order. I recognize, check this out. They actually had a commercial for this stuff inside the movie, right? And it had Abe Vigoda in it for like a 30-second segment. And not only that, but the woman that played his wife was the Where's the Beef woman. How crazy is this? Entertainment media is crazy. It's just crazy. Alright, so anyways, guys, let's go ahead and grade this movie and move on so I can get to bed. I'm going to head... honestly, I'm going to go and give you 2 scores for this movie. I'm going to go and give you the honest score, like whether you should watch this or not. And then I'm going to give you my guilty pleasure score on it. Honestly, for the quality of the movie, the acting, the writing, even the quality of the special effects, which I loved. I loved the honest effort on that. But they weren't good. So I would probably have to give it like a good 50%. It was a good 50%. It was still, it made sense. It didn't lie to us. There were just a lot of plot holes that you could tell that they honestly forgot about, or they couldn't make their way around. Like I said, they just had those scenes that they wanted to give us, and whether the plot matched what was going around, it didn't matter as long as we got that visual effect. I still loved it. For my guilty pleasure, I'd love to say that it's 100%, but it's about 85. There was a couple things that annoyed me about this movie, but I'm definitely going to watch this again. I really enjoyed this. It was a fun time. But that is my 2 movies for tonight. I went ahead and watched Cujo, which was kind of lifeless, and it was just, it felt like the first half of it like I was invading somebody's privacy, and then the second half of it was this needless violence with characters that I didn't care about. What did I give it? 65? 60? I think it was a 65. I'll give it a 65 again. Whereas in the stuff, which I warn you guys is something that you're gonna either hate or love. I loved it. I thought it was cool. I enjoyed the effort. So I gave it an 85. My honest opinion was an 85. Your mileage may vary on that, but that is my score. So, guys, I enjoyed visiting with you again for this Halloween season. I'm just going ahead and end my video as I do at every single video. I want to wish everybody peace, Montanay. I'll talk to you guys later, and goodbye. Goodbye. Happy Halloween, guys. This video has been brought to you by this shirt and the back. And for your free licensed music needs, go to bensounds.com.